Happy Monday. If you're watching on replay, let me know in the comments. Let us know, hashtag replay. We'll give everybody a minute or two to jump on and join us. Wait for everything to get settled here. Okay, there we go. As you're popping on, tell me hi. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me how your weekend was. Tell me how you're staying warm, if you're staying warm. Hi, Sherry. I'm playing around a little bit with some new audio equipment, so hopefully everybody can hear me okay, and I don't have to deal with the AirPods like I normally do, but the sound is still good. So, as long as nothing disconnects and goes wonky, then hopefully the sound will be good. Hi, Holly, working on a hat. I was working on a hat last week. I finished it. We'll talk about that in the list of things to talk about today. Sarah, still on West Coast time, was in Seattle for a couple weeks, finishing up the squirrel hat. Awesome. Hi, Leslie. Mary, happy Monday. Working on 2 at a time socks and a test knit for Nicolette Corley. Awesome. Shar making a baby quilt. Always with the baby things, Shar. All these babies in your life. Woo. It was cool in here earlier. Now I'm getting warm. Hi, Jill. What? Uh, Melissa's signing things to me in the background. Hi, Cindy. I have finished things to show, not just my things, but other people's things too. So that's always fun. I like being able to do that. Holly, weekend was okay. Got a goose egg. Set up the new treadmill. Aw, sounds like a fan running in the background. Well, it should be. It's supposed to be kind of filtering out some of that noise. So hopefully it's not too distracting. Cole working on your rainbow blanket. Awesome. Joyce working on way too many things. Socks for class, pitter pat, muslin pot holder, botanical yoke, dog sweater. I feel like sometimes Joyce is saying all the things that she's working on. I feel it's either one extreme or the other, where we just don't have the knitting mojo to do much of anything, or we have cast on itis and we just want to work on all the things all the time. Yeah, it's doable. Okay. Well, it's kind of a trial and error thing. So um we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't help, then well, I'll figure something else out. But um yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I can't knit twisted rib and talk to you all at the same time, so that's got to get put to the side. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is Monday, February 3rd. Happy February. My name is Kristen. I am the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in downtown Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. Marketplace hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Shop hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Most Mondays, you will find me here. However, I will be taking a break for the next couple weeks because I have surgery on my hip on this Friday. So I don't know how long I will be out for, but I know at least probably the next 2 weeks we won't have a Monday motivation. So keep that in mind. Deb will still be doing her drop-in help class. They just will probably meet here in the shop since I won't be here taking up space and airtime. It's February. We made it through a month. Days are starting to get a little bit longer. Not quite so frigid, although it was kind of chilly today. So I'm happy about that. All right, so let's talk about knitting. What I'm wearing. I am wearing the Hazelwood sweater. This sweater, this pattern we had on display when we had a trunk show with Knitted Wit a little while back. And this one I am fortunate enough to have because one of our customers, our sweet customer Jean, knit it and it didn't fit her. So I was I was the lucky recipient of it. But Hazelwood is a 3-color sport weight sweater. It is top down. It's got this fun little contrast color with the bands at the bottom, button band. It does have one more button hole up here. But Karen was nice enough to put the buttons on for this, and she was having a hard time getting things to line up. So this is what I ended up with it, but it looks great. I love it. Kind of like bracelet length sleeves. So 3 colors of sport weight yarn. Hazelwood is the name of the pattern. It goes from a 32 up to a 64-inch bust. So it's a pretty versatile pattern. 2 colors for the stripes up on the top, and then that third contrast color for the bands, the cuffs, and the bottom. Really fun sweater. We always have lots of sport weight yarn here to choose from. I really appreciate the fact that with this pattern, if you look on the Ravelry page, it breaks down with each size how much yardage you need for each color. Sometimes I get a little frustrated when you have to actually buy a pattern to get yardage. Sometimes we want to see if yarn we have will at least work for some of a project. So yeah, this is Hazelwood. Top down, raglan shoulders, no big collar on it, just a fun throw over other things sweater. So I had to snag it off a mannequin, so I have a little bit of a naked mannequin, but I have the yarn to make this, unbox it somewhere. Yes, exactly, the time to knit it. So this is what I'm wearing. I did not knit this. I'll talk about things that other people made first, and then I'll talk about what I finished and what I'm working on. But it's a really great pattern. Pretty straightforward. I can't remember if it had pockets, if the original had pockets or not. I don't think so. For some reason, I was thinking it did, but um, so next to it's kind of a green theme today with things. My mom, I mentioned over the past couple weeks, well, really since December, the designer, why Helen Stewart, who also goes by Curious Handmade. I knew it would come to me if I just took a minute. Did a knit vent. So every year she does these advent. She releases a series of patterns, and the largest pattern is designed for the advent sets, which are like the 24 mini skein sets that you can get from different dyers. But she also talked about how you could use 5 full skeins of fingering weight yarn in a gradient to make her big project. So the little scarflet that I had on last week, the pink one, that was one of her patterns. That was a sport weight pattern or sport or DK weight pattern. But my mom has been working on and finished and blocked this beautiful throw. So the pattern is called Vignette, and it's written as either a throw or a rectangular wrap. You essentially knit with half of each of your skeins of yarn if you're doing full skeins, increasing and then decreasing back down again. So mom was nice enough to send this with me when I saw them yesterday so I could show it off to everybody. But look at how absolutely beautiful this is. So this is the throw version. Obviously, if it's a square, you start with a few stitches down at one end, increasing until you get to the center, and then decreasing back down again, so it's mirrored. The wrap version is a longer rectangular wrap, but essentially the same concept. So it's a combination of garter and lace. Look how pretty that is. So we went through back in December and pulled 5 coordinating skeins. So it's like starts with this light beige color, goes into this kind of, it's still kind of a tan with golds and greens, and then more into the greens and this deep teal. Then it fades back out again. It's such a beautiful, beautiful pattern. pretty simple once you get into it. One of the really nice things about Helen Stewart's patterns is she gives you a stitch count for pretty much every row or every right side row. And she kind of writes out what pattern, what kind of stitch pattern or where you should be following along on her grid is not the right word. What am I trying to think of? It's kind of like a glorified Excel spreadsheet with row by row notes to follow along. So I do recommend her patterns. Her pattern Spindrift was one of the first one skein shawl projects that we had in the shop. We still have it hanging up on the wall over the door. And same sort of thing. It's great for beginners, and it's great to be able to follow along the way she writes things. There were a couple hiccups with actually understanding what parts of the pattern mom needed that I kind of had to help her with, but you know, that's what I'm here for, whether it's my mama or anybody else. So mom made that. And then our sweet customer, Pat, who is, many of you will know her as the grandma to the twin baby girls, so, or Starbucks Pat, because she's both. Um, she's both. She's the one that usually brings us Starbucks, but she's also the one with twin grandbabies who are two. But she was sweet enough to knit this really cool, and I did post it on Show Off Your Faux Friday, but I wanted to show it here too. Just this, it's this cute little um, head covering scarf. So this is called Iggy, and it's written with worsted weight yarn. And so what she did was use earth self-striping yarn for one side and a skein of Malabrigo Rios for the other. So it's got this long, I feel a little bit like either it's like chainmail or like a dog, but you can wrap it around. And let me see if I can do this without too much chaos happening here. Wrap it around, you could tie it here and get this really cute cozy effect. It's got like the increases and decreases, so it kind of hugs your head really nicely. But super fun pattern. It's always sweet when, as knitters, sometimes we don't get that many things from other knitters. And this was a really cool one. So at first glance, I would have, let's see, what did Melissa say? Iggy's a hooded scarf worked in garter stitch. Great second project for new knitters or low concentration project for those with more experience. Yeah, so at first glance, when I was looking at this, I would have assumed you would cast on at one end and knit, do increases, do decreases, and back down again. That's not the case. So the technique part of this is that it starts with a provisional cast on in the center, and then you're knitting, decreasing both sides. So it is all garter, which is awesome. The benefit of doing it this way is your increases and decreases are not going to look identical. So if I were to do this, like I said, where I started at one little tail here, knit up, when you get to this point, you can kind of see that V. Where you see that V, if I were to do increases on one side, get to the top and do decreases down, they're not going to look the same. Increases and decreases just have a different look. Even though you're adding a stitch or you're taking it away, you would be going from, 74 to 76 stitches here and 76 to 74 here, either way. Doing it this way, where you're starting with a provisional cast on in the middle and knitting both sides down, you're going to get an identical decrease look on both sides. So still would be a great second project, or yeah, with it being all garter, an easy social knitting project, I guess, is the way that I would put it once you got up and going with that provisional cast on. So that's the things other people finished. Last week I talked about the white frost hat or the white frost beanie. Well, there were a couple different versions. So there's a PDF that shows a hat, and then she calls it a beanie, but it's actually more slouchy. I I talked about it. I showed the yarn that I wanted to use, the Malabrigo Rios in Sagittarius. And I think Wednesday I cast this hat on and I finished it on Saturday. I finished it on Friday. I actually blocked it on Saturday. I'm not the greatest at blocking hats, but I did it. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. So this is my finished white frost hat. Look at how cool though that is. I really love the way the cables, like there's this wide band um, between the cables. And so they kind of twist around and you see this, it's almost like a ribbon running through it. It looks really, really neat. And it's got the cables that start down at the ribbing. I did modify it a little bit because this is a gift for somebody and not necessarily a shop sample. I did modify it by taking, you're supposed to have four twisted cables here, and I stopped after the third and started moving on just because I didn't want it to be a super slouchy hat. I wanted it to be a more form-fitting hat, but look at how cute that is. It fits really well. I was, as we know happens, I was a little bit concerned that when I washed it and laid it out to dry, because it's Rios, it might grow a bit. And it did, but it kind of went back to its form. I was afraid I might have to pop it in the dryer. And that is one thing that we'll recommend. If you use a superwash yarn, you get it wet and the thing just grows and grows, especially with sweaters. We hear that from people like, oh my gosh, my sleeves ended up so long, or the body ended up so long. Um, if that happens with something that is a superwash yarn like Rios, you can toss it in the dryer just for a few minutes, whether it's damp or dry, and that will kind of suck it back down to the form that it should be in. So this one I didn't have to do that. It fits fine. Got a little cat fur on it, but you know, cats like to leave their love everywhere. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's not going to be here in the shop because it's cold outside. It needs to go back to its intended recipient. So that will happen soon. But I gifted it and then I took it back because I wanted to show it all to you. But what a quick, fun, if you like cables, it's got a cable row and a rest row, but the cables are simple enough to follow. The pattern is written and charted, so you could go by either thing. I would recommend if you follow the chart to be very careful. And I did see people commented on this that the chart only shows every other row. So it makes you, if you're just used to reading charts as you normally would, you'd end up with a really short, really tight cabled hat. So, um, read all the instructions. It does actually say that in the written instructions, but if I hadn't read it in somebody else's notes, I probably would have just glazed right over that. So that's what we finished. I'm working on my Salty Days sweater, which will look like this once it has sleeves. I'm getting there. So this is a top down. It's a very interesting construction. I've talked about that over the last couple weeks with the way you start with the back of the neck, work down the back, and then you're picking up along these lines to knit over the shoulders and to the front. So it's kind of cool because you've got that little raglan shaping in the back, but not in the front. Just go straight down. Looks like a vest right now. It will have sleeves eventually, but I am down to the ribbing at the bottom. It's kind of interesting. It goes from, I swatched for this. The pattern calls for 8s for the body and 2.5s for the ribbing. I'm on 9s, and then I went to 3s for the ribbing down at the bottom. So it's a 1x1 twisted rib. It does look pretty tight, but hers, if you look at it, it doesn't seem to be like really that it pulls in all that much. I'm hoping that's the case with mine. If it does, then it does. But I want this to be my Valentine's Day sweater. Not that I'm going anywhere. I will be home recuperating most likely, but it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be so soft and lovely. So this is, she says DK or um, DK held with a mohair. What I'm using is Malabrigo Arroyo, which kind of bounces between DK and Sport. And instead of mohair, I'm using Plymouth Surrey Stratus, which is a Surrey alpaca nylon blend. It's it's like a cloud. It's going to be like wearing a cloud. It will be so warm. Just when I'm working on this, when it's sitting on my lap, it's so nice and toasty warm. So I'm almost done. I have, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm on row 8 of row 22 of 22 rows of ribbing for the bottom. So um, Barbara and I went on kind of a road trip today, Barbara from Make and Bacon, and I was working on this while she was knitting and kind of lamenting to her about how I don't love knit one through the back loop, purl one ribbing on little needles with two strands of yarn held together. It's not really something that I can um, get away with not paying attention to while I'm knitting on it. And I'm tempted to just let it sit and work on the sleeves or the collar. But the collar is 1 by 1 ribbing, as are the cuffs when I finish the sleeves. So I'm making myself just finish the body of it, and then I will move on to other parts. But so far I am on my, I think I'm ready to start my third skein of my main color, the Rosalinda. I don't have a whole lot left. I did blend a few rows. I don't even remember where it was I blended. I did blend from one skein to the next, a few rows in here. So there wasn't a harsh line. And you can see there's a little bit of line pooling in here, but it doesn't bother me. I think when I'm wearing it, I don't think it'll be that noticeable. Not enough to try and alternate skeins through the whole project, plus hold a mohair with it. It was hard enough to do that just to blend a few rows. So um, I really like how it's going. And it's just a little bit slow now, but I've got a week and a half to get it done. And after Friday, I will have a lot of downtime sitting on the couch, not doing much of anything. So as long as the dog and the cats let me knit, I will be knitting a lot. So that's what I'm working on. I don't know what my next project is going to be. I haven't figured that out yet. There's been a lot of chat in here lately about starting to think about spring and summer knitting for tops. And I've been kind of remiss and have slacked on looking on Ravelry with the like new pattern releases, what's hot right now, that sort of thing. So I need to get back into that and find my next inspiration project, whatever that's going to be. If you are one that watches YouTube blogs or what am I trying to think of? Podcasts, video podcasts, or anything like that, Instagram influencers, and they're talking about a fun spring or summer top that you think would be interesting to me or to the shop, let me know. Put it in the comments or tell me next time you're in the shop and we'll check it out. I always like to hear and see what other people are doing. It is February, so we got Dreaming Colors pop-up club color for February. This goes through, I believe their club goes through May or June. I have it written down, but we got February and it is called Inflorescence. And it's just all the bright, beautiful colors. Look at how absolutely gorgeous this is. So this fluorescent pink to this like denim-y navy blue, but then there's also some teal and turquoise in there. This greenish orange, more of the pinks and blues, yellows. Melissa is going to link to a pattern called Prism Twist. This that hat pattern was knit with this color of this yarn. So the base is smushy with cashmere, Dreaming Color. Their pop-up club is always smushy with cashmere. But here you can see all the different colors. And if you look at that pattern, the prism twist hat, it's pretty cool. It's one of those, it's kind of like the Isolde Teague has that doubled hat where you start at one point and then you knit, then you kind of fold it into itself so it's doubled up. I can't think of the name of that pattern. Um, but this is a fully reversible hat. And what I think is kind of cool, I haven't looked at the pattern, but I was trying to talk it through mentally a little bit with Melissa, is um you use the, it looks like you use the same size needles for the full hat, but on one half of the hat it does this spirally pooly thing, and on the other half of the hat it doesn't. So I'm curious if they change the stitch count in order for it to do, yeah, the Musselburgh. There we go. Thank you, Brenda. Um, I don't know if they changed the stitch count or if it's just because one half of the hat is knit with, looks like broken rib, and the other half is in stockinette, and that's enough to change how the yarn pools. But I think it's really cool. Um, Again, that's one of those things where how do you know? Maybe that pattern started as kind of a happy accident with trying to figure out what to do with a fun and funky skein of yarn like this. Ashley ended up with, I can't remember if she ended up snagging one or two of these, but if you know Ashley, you know she has a love of the catkin shawl, and so she's got this with a skein of the black sparkle to do another catkin, and it's gonna just be, it's gonna be gorgeous. So that is February's. If you are participate in the club, you have either gotten yours or it is set aside for you. They are $36 a skein once we get them here in the shop, and we've got 3 left out of the 10 that we get. So it's gone pretty quickly. If you are interested, let me know. Um, let's see. What else has been happening in here? Um, the dates for the middle of the mitten yarn crawl have been set. I shared that event the other day. However, I didn't actually look to make sure that they were the same as the dates that I originally noted to myself. So, nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Hang on. Let me look at my handy dandy planner. I'm pretty sure the middle of the mitten yarn crawl is going June 12th through the 21st. Um, maybe somebody can fact check me on that a little bit, but in the middle of that is Worldwide Knit in Public Day. Worldwide Knit in Public Day is Saturday, June 14th. So that gives us a good break. So that's about a month break for the shops and for the shoppers between the middle of the mitten yarn crawl and the Heartland Yarn Adventure. So we are participating in both of those. We will be taking pre-orders. I just have to get things organized in terms of how much the passports are. I believe this year for the Heartland, or for the middle of the mitten yarn crawl, it's going to be similar to last year where you get a passport and a bag. And yeah, so we're participating in both of those. Other dates of interest. Local Yarn Store Day is April 26th. We will be doing something. I don't know what that something will be, but if you don't have any plans for that day, don't make any plans other than coming here and hanging out with us. So, we'll have a table, floor, social knitting set up somewhere, whether it's in here or somewhere out there and out in the marketplace. But yeah, make sure you're around. We always try and do something fun and different and unique. So we're starting to plan the summer, which makes me hopeful. that it's actually coming. Okay. Snowfest was this weekend. I made it out to Frankenmuth. I don't know if any of you went out there, but it was kind of I mean, it was it was chilly, but it was good for Snowfest in terms of not being overly warm or rainy or blizzardy. We got to see a lot of the sculptures. There was a really fun snow sculpture in the Zenders parking lot of a cat laying on its back with this giant ball of yarn, and then there was a mouse sitting on top of it. That was really fun. If I remember, I will post the photo of that later, but it was really cute. Lots of good talent there. I love to see um, how busy Frankenmuth gets. I know some of the locals aren't always crazy about when tourist season happens, but it's great to have such a big draw town so nearby. Where I think we're fortunate for that. And Jenny, wonder if it pulls like that. I wonder if it would work on a cowl. I feel like that's one where you would kind of have to play around with it. There is a method though to figure out if you have a yarn like this, how to cast on the right number of stitches in order to intentionally make it pool. It has to do with laying the skein out and figuring out how many stitches you need to cast on to get one or two repeats. So it's more of a formula or a recipe than it is an actual cowl. But if you were to knit kind of a stockinette cowl, the way you would do this is somehow make a note of one full repeat. Like if you were to undo one round of yarn starting at a certain point. So like if you started where the pink meets the blue here and you unwound maybe like two times of two strands of yarn where it got through all the colors. I'm not explaining this very well, but there is a way to do it. There is a way to do it to take just a generic cowl pattern and figure out how to make it either swirl if you want it to pool like in a swirling way, or if you want it to stack right on top of each other. Um, Patty Lyons has a cowl I did a while ago, and I think she's got the method kind of explained. If I can find that, I will try and find it for you, Jenny. Because it's a pretty cool thing. And I know sometimes it happens when we don't want it to, but you know, you also don't want it to be one of those things where you cast on anything thinking it'll pool and it doesn't. So although I almost feel like even if you did double the number of stitches that the hat called for, it might do the same thing. So Melissa, details about us and the shop. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Oh, so cool. So they're in Caro. Oh, that's not far either. Awesome. Our store is the Little Yarn Shop in Saginaw, inside the SBRC Marketplace, downtown Saginaw, just a block or two from the Temple Theater and a couple more blocks from the Dow Event Center. So lots of parking along the river. And we are open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The rest of the market is 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday. 203 South Washington Avenue in Saginaw. There we go. I got all the things. Okay, Jenny, I will set one of those aside for you. Um, I had posted the January color for the um why can't I think of what it's called? Tour of the Seasons. So Wonderland Yarns continued this year their Tour of the Seasons, which is yarn inspired by movies and literature. So January was Breakfast at Tiffany's, inspired by Breakfast at Tiffany's, and the color was called Tiffany and Co. We are all sold out of that as far as I can tell. I don't see any here on the table, so that makes me think we are. We get 10 skeins of that a month. Some of them are spoken for automatically for members who are participating every month. And then what is left gets set free to the wild to be adopted and loved. We are out of January's. February's will be coming soon. I just got the invoice for it, so that means it should be on its way to us shortly. So if there are colors you see that you like, hop on it quickly because those club ones, they don't last very long. The Wonderland Club is fun because each month you get, in addition to the skein of to a skein of a sport weight yarn dyed inspired by a book or a movie, they have custom stitch markers. So January's was kind of a Happy New Year theme. So the two stitch markers, one was a little set of bubbly champagne glasses, and the other one was a little book that said Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then you get a postcard that is one side is like an invitation to a fun party, whatever the theme is for the month. And the back side is a work in progress card, which is really cool. It's got you can put notes on there, the yarn you're using, what you're using it for, the project, needle size, all of that, when you started it. So super fun. And that is a monthly club that goes January to December. I think that's all I have for you guys tonight. So as a reminder, like I said in the beginning, there will not be a Monday motivation for the next couple Mondays. I am having hip surgery on Friday. Assuming all goes well, I will be out a week or two. I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of playing it by ear. Karen's trying to tell me I need to take a month off. I will not be gone a month. I can't do that. But a week or two at least, I will be out. So any thoughts, prayers, positive vibes, send them my way. Send them the way of the surgeon. We appreciate that. I appreciate it on his behalf. That is sometime on Friday. Not quite sure when that's going to be, but the shop will still be running business as usual. Karen will be here, like she always is. I think a few of our regulars are planning to come and hang out with her while I'm gone. And then Deb will still be doing drop-in help on Mondays. And yeah, everything will probably just run fine without me here. You guys just won't get to see my smiling face, and I won't get to see yours, but that's okay. I'll be home and hopefully recovering and knitting and then feeling better. That's the goal. So thank you everybody for the thoughts and the love. So have a good week. I will be here Wednesday and Thursday this week. So if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. After that, you're out of luck for a little while. But so have a great week. If we don't see you here in the market in the next couple days, then we'll chat in another few weeks. But do keep in mind on the Facebook page, I still will be trying to post Wednesdays and Fridays as much as I can. As much as I'm able to, I guess, keep up with. So have a great week. Stay warm. Grab sunshine when you can, and we'll chat again sometime in the future.